Welcome, everyone, to Stories Worth Hearing, where I get to interview women who are on a mission to create. Hi, I'm Denise Hansard. I'm your host and your life architect. And of course, every time I get to interview women, I have someone very special with me. And that person today is Johanna Wilson. And before I have Johanna come on, let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a woman who's learned to stand out in her industry, which can be an extremely competitive one. You see, Johanna works in the insurance and financial services industry and has done this for the past 20 to 30 years of her life. And I know you're probably saying, Denise, that's really nothing new, and yet her story is a little bit different. You see, she has always been surrounded by men in this industry in the family business. So it wasn't just men, but men in her family, of which it is. And at one point in her life, she made a decision. She walked away. And that's what we want to talk about today. So, Johanna, thank you for coming on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor, and I'm so happy to be able to have learned things over the years, to be able to, share what I've learned and help make somebody else maybe improve their life or break out of a box or explore things that they might have maybe been afraid to in the past.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's go ahead and get your story out there because, as I said, you walked away. And that being in a family business can be a little bit difficult to do. And I remember when we talked, you said you did it with grace. But go ahead and just share your journey because it's a journey I think everybody's going to enjoy hearing. And you will share some wisdom in this.
Yes, I will, because I don't want to touch on I don't want to stick to the things that were the difficult parts of the story so much as the lessons. And I walked away from an agency environment. I still associate and from time to time do business jointly or together, but I basically walked away from the story. So I'll just take it back to how I even started in this business, because I ultimately was probably not a likely candidate to go into this industry. I probably, if you would have known me better, I probably be a therapist or a coach or something. But what happened is that I walked straight into internships in college and into a full-time job right out of school with benefits, and I was able to have a moment to think, about what it was that I wanted to do, and that was sort of a big learning experience for me because I was trained in a variety of different areas of the insurance industry. At the time, there was a lot of things going on with the family business. My cousins owned an agency, my father worked there, and I was just learning and being told what to do, and I did that way for about 14 years until and mostly I will say in my mind I thought this gives me the flexibility to have a family and to maybe build a business one day on my own, that I could still make an income, I could build skills. I just didn't realize how hard it would be at the time to really step into my own power or to trust myself. I think I really second guessed what I was doing with the voices in my head of what I think somebody else might do or my family might do. And it was that was where the learning really took place, because I needed to actually find my own voice and break out on my own and create a name for myself away from the larger group. And like you said, as a woman in a male dominated business, I had to really think, about how I was going to do that. And ultimately, it was my desire to help people that drives me every day and keeps me going. The people that I've met, the ways I've been able to use my skills and share my stories or help people feel confident in a very intimidating area. I don't I don't know if you struggle this way, but I know a lot of people do, where they just don't know how to read documents.
Mm.
And it's scary, very vulnerable. I've had people sit across the table from me and cry, like, because they feel like they've done something wrong because they really just don't know how to read this. And I actually had to do some thinking myself, because as I really was alone in my office and thinking, I need to build something here.
Yeah.
Um, I also looked at the statements and the things, and said, I don't really know if I know how to do it perfectly myself either. So I decided to be the brave one and call the companies and have them show me and teach me how to read it all. It
Yeah.
was kind of financial literacy.
Mm.
And I then sat across from people from then on, and I said, I felt the same way, and I know how that feels, maybe differently than you feel it, but we all really feel the same things. It's what kind of a team are we building
Mm.
around ourselves to create successful stories? How do we do that?
Yeah.
And
I want to pause right there because that was very key to what you said. Number one, you said a lot of different things. You said you had to find your voice and your way first in order to inspire the people you were working with and to help them learn to find their own voice. And one of the key elements that you said was finding that community. And it really doesn't matter if it's in your business life, in your career, or in a personal life. We all have those moments, and especially as women, where we feel somewhat less than or not worthy enough. And so it's about building our inner strength and knowing our own worth and stepping into community, which can help support that. So is that
Mhm.
what you found yourself doing?
I did. It was a little bumpy, along the way, because it took me a little time to find the right team. For instance, I had an accountant that I was using for many years,
Mhm.
and I just was like a robot. I did whatever they said. But the way that the way I felt after speaking with them, and it wasn't their fault.
Mhm.
They're wonderful people. I felt like a child, or I felt like I wasn't growing. I felt like they were working for the IRS, not me. And so I hired a bookkeeper. And that felt like such a crazy thing to do, like, why would I need a bookkeeper? That kind of a thing. But she changed my life. She helped me organize and see things that I just didn't see. And then I had to hire an accountant that would set me up, even though I found it to be completely painful and it was the least favorite thing I was doing. I trusted that if I was going to build this,
Mhm.
and I needed to accept there are things that I did well and things that I didn't do well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that, and then I also have, I mean, on the spiritual side, like
Yes.
a yoga teacher, and I've gone to retreats, and I've worked on those demons, and I've created a practice. Like, for instance, I went to a seminar once. It was actually a very funny experience. It was for an investment product, and we went to a steakhouse. And it was one of these steakhouses where they have these business lunches, and they put out on the table, like steak with butter all over it, and mashed potatoes, and there was hardly anything healthy on the table. But the whole room was full of men. And the poor guy who was up there in the front, it was actually one of these moments in my life I will never forget. He was there talking about how to train like an athlete in order to be the best at your job and
Okay.
life.
I have to pause for a minute because that's funny. The ironics of that. Go ahead. The irony of
Right.
that. Sorry.
So he said, I cannot believe that I have to be up here talking about this. And you guys are eating steak and mashed potatoes and like, cheesecake and chocolate cake, drinking wine at lunch. Like
Oh my God.
it was really, but I didn't even care about any of that. All I heard from him was, if you want to be successful, you need to train like an athlete during the busy times. You need to get enough rest. You need to manage your
Mhm.
relationships. You need to eat right.
Yeah.
And you need to set up for success.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer for me.
Yeah. Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. So I heard you say you got your business and you got your team on your business, you got your spiritual team. What about that community of friends and everything and family? Because I remember us talking earlier, you talked about a time when your health was suffering being with before you walked away.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's, I just don't think you realize, well, I didn't realize how much like the training. So I was trained, right? So I was taken to lunches. I sat through every meeting. I created presentations. I always called in support because I'm in a sales environment.
Mhm.
So, in order to be really good at what you do and to do the right job for your clients, you need to be confident. You need to have a really sound approach and a style in which works for them, in my opinion.
Yes.
But we're in a sales environment. So my superiors wanted numbers. They wanted, to see it. And I also saw my father suffer through this greatly
Yeah.
over the course of many years when we would go in for a review and they would focus on the things that were but not focus on all the money they were making from the things he did well.
Yeah. Wow.
And I saw the pain that caused him and
Mm.
the upset and the frustration because that's not the story. So when I decided, in a way, my walking away was I walked away from the agency environment, but I stayed in a family business, which eventually basically ended, but slowly. And it was me walking away was me saying, I think I know how to do what's right for me and my customers.
Yeah. So you chose you.
And I chose the better story, which was what I'm supposed to be, right? I'm supposed to be a fiduciary. So I'm
Right.
supposed to be thinking for my clients and not necessarily like I'm second, So, and so my friends, my yoga community, my home life, everything really stepped up to support the ultimate goal because, right, if I'm successful and happy, we're
Mhm.
all going to be successful and happy
Yes.
because I share it.
Exactly. So during this journey, because it was a journey of making different choices for yourself, for your family, for everything, was there a time when you wondered if you could continue?
Yes, I remember it well. Sitting on the shores of the beaches in North Carolina, I had just come out of like a very difficult time
Mhm.
and I was confused. I was like, do I just go get a job? I have enough skills. I could just go get a job. Or do I do something with them? Do I really take this, really stand in my own power and be brave? So I did do I did stay. I did ultimately decide that I liked the flexibility and the freedom of being my own boss. I liked being able to give myself a pay raise if I did well. I just didn't want to have to answer to somebody. I didn't want to make money that necessarily somebody else really got the benefit of because I felt like I could just do different. I just come from a long line of business owners.
Yeah.
So it just was in my blood. Like I can't help. It's just in my blood
Yeah.
and it's in my soul. So I went and I continued to do work on my mental fortitude.
Good.
Not necessarily therapy, but I've used hypnosis, biofeedback, meditation. I use body work like massage, trigger point therapy, everything to keep my body and my nervous system stable so I can handle the growth and the changes. And it's been everything. I mean,
Yeah.
if my nervous system is good, everybody's happy. My customers are happy. I'm happy. And what happened is it had been affecting my health where my breathing, was not what it should be. My uh, skin wasn't like I just didn't glow. I didn't have that happy glow. My
Mm-hmm.
heart
Yeah.
was sometimes like, in pain. And I said, what is this? This is crazy. I'm doing this to myself. So I decided I know what I need and I'm going to go do it.
That's perfect. You know what? It's always interesting. And I'm a firm believer in this, which is why you and I resonated so much, is about the innerness of who we are
Right.
and understanding that once we connect with what I call that inner voice and listen to our body is always going to tell us what it needs. Yours was telling you you needed to find your joy, you needed to flow with your heart and do whatever it meant to get out of your nervous system or the fear, which is typically what that is, boils down to it. And we all got so many
Right.
fears that will always be there. We just learn how to embrace that fear and move on with everything. That we get to find our joy in life.
Right.
I love that. So I know that's what you do because you even said it. You want to inspire others through different ways of telling the story.
I really do. And I do try all the time. I'm very open with people. I have all different kinds of people crossing through my space.
Mm-hmm.
Every different men, women, young, old, widows, divorcees, people getting married, people having babies, like people who just graduated from college, people who just had a major illness and decided to make life changes. I use coaching and inspirational stories and uh, every day, and I can't tell you the reward I get to see how it helped somebody just a little bit
Yeah.
be more comfortable in this life,
Yeah.
this journey.
So that's good. Let's lead it into what inspiration do you want to leave with everyone?
Okay.
She wrote it
So
down, so she's got it.
yeah, I wrote it in, so I got it. So basically, there's a few things that I've learned over the years that I share with college students, with so many people, and it brings me so much joy to even share it today. But one of the most important things that I think we all have to have is a plan B. Life, you always have to have, like, when you go into situations that you aren't sure how it's going to play out, I really think you have to have a backup strategy that you're okay with because it just makes that transition so much better. Also, I just feel that what comes easy is good. What has obstacles and resistance and problems all around it may not actually really be right for you at this time. It doesn't mean that it can't eventually happen when you organize it better or you understand it better. But if there's a lot of resistance around something, I always recommend, look, let's just, maybe that's not the time to do that right now.
Mhm.
It's not like you have to forget it forever, but let's table it. Um, Next is finding your own voice, trust it, believe it, and find your people, find
Mhm.
your team,
Yeah.
whether it's friends, financial partners, insurance, legal, people. Um, every business and every person has things that they need in order to uh, make it the solid team that they need. And also pick your battles because you cannot win them all. You
Perfect.
know, just do
Perfect.
not even bother with things that you don't need to be bothering with. Um, only two
Okay.
more, which is
Okay.
one is do not do something that you'll regret. Regret is one of the hardest things to get over. And lastly, if you have someone in your life that you struggle with, that you really just don't know what to do with, I always recommend to really look at their vulnerabilities and their nakedness, to see through to their soul and find what's lovable and leave the rest. You
Yeah.
just cannot change people. You cannot write a story differently. You can
Yeah.
only write your own story.
Mm,
So, just find what's redeemable and hold on to that.
yeah. Oh, Johanna, that is so wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Welcome.
Why don't you tell people how they can find you? What's the best way? If they
Well, I
want
have
more information
my
from you.
website,
Yeah.
right? My website is strategic-financial.com,
All right. Say it one more time.
www.strategic-financial.com.
Okay. Strategic-financial.com.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the easiest way to get in touch with me.
All right.
I'm all over the internet probably, so you can find me there.
And guys, again, thank you, Johanna. I have loved this time. And everyone, the information on how to get in touch with Johanna is down below. Please read further into the description. So if you want to talk more with her, please reach out to her. And everyone, I love giving these stories on Stories Worth Hearing. If you know someone that you want me to interview, please reach out to me because I'd love to interview more beautiful women. I'm always on the trail to look for that. Please subscribe, please like, please share, and remember, you are also a woman on a mission to create. Thank you.